It's so strange about my life. It started so long ago, it's almost hard to remember, but it started rough without even the thought of dreaming. And then all of a sudden, success in boxing, and then in business, life has been fine.
George Foreman grew up in the 5th Ward of Houston, downtown, dropped out of school at 15, and he wasn't quite sure what he was going to do in life. The story goes that Foreman found himself at the Job Corps, ready to join, looking for any kind of work. But he was also an intimidating, scrappy guy who got into fights. He kind of stumbled into boxing because it was his only out.
I never did see a day that I was going to do so well, but I always had big hopes.
Foreman was known not for being necessarily the best fighter, but being one of the hardest punchers. And his early career was nothing but success after success. At 19, he got an Olympic gold medal in Mexico City, and he went 40-0 in the ring before he fought Joe Frazier for his first heavyweight title.
Now, when I first became the heavyweight champ of the world, I had no idea, nothing whatsoever, the success that would follow me later on. Of course, I was 25. I didn't even know that anything that existed endorsement. All I cared about was getting that right hand in and getting a knockout. Nothing else mattered.
When George Foreman was in the early days of his boxing career, he was known not just for being an intimidating fighter, but even kind of a bad guy. It wasn't actually until 1987, when Foreman was making his return to boxing, that Madison Avenue took note. He had successfully changed his image from scowling and angry and intimidating to smiling and sunny and approachable.
And I heard a lady say years back, her dad had told her, learn to sail and you'll never starve. And I sold the world on that, look, I could be heavyweight champ of the world. Madison Avenue picked up on that. And there were Doritos, McDonald's, Pepsi, Meineke.
Oscar Mayer eating hot dogs. He was selling clothing with casual mail. He's always been a salesman.
By George, I think he's got it.
The whole advertising world were right there with me. And I made a lot of money and met a lot of friends. Oh, I had a wonderful time endorsing products. And that was a thrill because every young boy, especially when I was growing up in Houston, every boy wanted to be on television. Even at 45, I was still that boy. I was endorsing everything. And one friend told me, he said, look, George, you're making all these companies wealthy. Why don't you get your own product and make yourself wealthy? We formed a joint venture, really, where all of us would put in. I'd put the name and the work into building this little product. I didn't like it at first. My wife said it was a great thing because the grease would go out of it, but yet the meat would stay juicy. She sold me on it. George Foreman, lean mean, fat-reducing grilling machine. It worked. And what, 100 million grills later, it's the talk of the town.
So after Foreman regained the heavyweight title when he was 45 years old, he had a couple more fights, left the sport, and I think the transition into business was seamless and automatic. He had already had this grill come along that now bore his name and was selling like crazy. And advertisers still wanted to be involved with this guy who had turned himself into a sunny, likable, marketable face.
I think my dad's philosophy in business, one that he's given to me and all my brothers really, he gave us a name, George Edward Foreman. He let us wear that like a badge, and what that represents is quality, integrity, and trust.
You know, the most important thing to me is always stay small and humble if you want to be successful in business.
I think even though George Foreman may not be remembered as being the greatest boxer of all time, most boxers from the past and from the present would agree that he brought big-time marketability to the sport. He made his face into something that could be boxed and sold by advertisers and brands. And he's embraced that. And in the end, I think he proved that there's life outside the ring.
You go through life, you get knocked down a lot, and you get hit a lot, you get so many disappointments. But I've learned in the ring, you just got to get up and swing. Swing, swing, swing. And if you dedicate yourself not so much to winning, but to swinging, you're going to win.